views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
When you add Be You plus Live Your Purpose, what do you get? Joy. That's the motto of Unstuck Joy with Vicki-Todd. Vicki believes you were born with gifts that you're meant to use to make the world a brighter place. Have you ever wondered, is this all life has to offer? There must be more. If you answer yes, then Unstuck Joy is the show for you. Each show will feature a memoir artwork painted by Vicki that taps into universal themes of evolution, hope, inner strength, and self-growth. Vicki will also ask listeners to play along. Draw, doodle, collage, write, and or paint your way to soul clarity with Art Vision Journaling. Unstuck Joy will compel you to tune into your soul's whispers to realize your unique dreams. Get ready to get unstuck.
Hey everybody, welcome. I'm Dr. Pat and I get to hang out with Vicki-Todd, and this is Unstuck. No, hey, let's just say hi to all the folks that are watching us on Facebook Live. And there's a reason we do this on Facebook Live, right, Vicki? You know, we are going to do something that allows people not only to hear what you're doing to help people get unstuck and stay unstuck, but they get to experience this visually. And, you know, today in particular, we've got something really kind of cool we're talking to people. Let your wild woman spirit howl. I love this wild woman spirit. Okay, so it sounds like you've been a little wild woman here recently, I bet.
We all have a wild woman in there somewhere. So this is one of my favorite stories from the book Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And so today we're going to concentrate on the Vasilisa the Wise story. And it's all about the evolution and transformation of really owning your wild woman spirit and letting her out to howl. So it's going to be a great show.
You know what's fascinating about this is because I was speaking with someone today, and they were saying to me, Pat, you've got to come out more and speak out more. They're totally like, you know, whatever happened to that rebel in you? And I thought to myself, am I less rebel-like? No. Am I less of a wild woman?
I don't believe that.
No, but I said, you know, here's the way I responded, and that's why I love what you're doing today. I said, you know, I've become a little bit more diplomatic. They said that we don't have time for diplomacy. What do you think?
I love that. I love that.
They're like, dude, what's wrong with you? Help me be a wild woman again.
Well, and that fits totally in with what we're talking about today. Is sometimes when we get into the routine of the everyday life, you know, our wild woman gets a little bit muted. And so we have to remember that and bring her out to play every once in a while. So that's a good thing.
So tell us about what's going to happen today, because this is, again, you know, for people that are just tuning in or not sure how they're watching us on Facebook Live, you're going to demonstrate something today.
Yes.
So give us a recap of what you've created for people and how they can participate beyond this show.
Okay. I want to tell the brief story. I'm going to give you the cliff notes because the Vasilisa the Wise story is so detailed with all the symbolism. So I'm going to tell you the story first so people will kind of know if they've never read that story before. And then I'm going to do an Art Vision Journal page of a wild woman. Here's one that I created already that's on the website. So I'm going to do a different one today that will include collage and some doodling. So it's going to be fun.
Wow, these are incredible.
Yeah. So really quickly, the Vasilisa the Wise story. Vasilisa was a little girl, and her mother was very ill, and on her deathbed, she gave Vasilisa this little doll, and she said, always keep this with you, keep it hidden. And the doll represents our intuition. Intuition plays a huge portion of this story. And so the mother dies. Vasilisa has her little intuition doll. And of course, the father has to get remarried immediately. And of course, he picks an evil stepmother with two evil stepdaughters that hate Vasilisa. So they make her do all these chores and treat her really meanly. Well, eventually they say, you know what? let's just get rid of Vasilisa. So let's extinguish the fire in our house. We will tell Vasilisa that it's up to her to march through the forest. Probably she'll get lost along the way, but find the Baba Yaga house, which was this fearsome witch, and beg Baba Yaga for fire. And they thought, oh, she'll never make it. And if she does make it, Baba Yaga will eat her for dinner. Well, Vasilisa goes out. She has no idea where she's going, totally lost in the forest, but she has her little doll in her pocket. And so as she's going, when she comes to a fork in the road, she'll touch her doll and the doll will say, go left or go right. And so she's feeding the doll bread as she goes, feeding her little intuition doll. Well, she comes upon this crazy house. It's this house on huge, giant yellow chicken legs that dances and twirls around. That's Baba Yaga's house. And so the house is surrounded by a fence, and each fence post has this skull, and there's fire shooting out of the eyes and the mouth and the ear holes of the skull. Well, here comes Baba Yaga. She is a fearsome witch, greasy hair, she has a pointed nose and a pointed chin, warts everywhere. And instead of being on a broom, she's flying in a mortar and pestle. She's in a mortar and using the pestle as kind of an oar. And so Baba Yaga says, who are you and what do you want? She says, well, I've come. My family's lost the fire. Can you please help me? Well, Baba Yaga says, you have to do these tasks for me before I will give you the fire. And Baba Yaga thought she would never achieve it either. Well, Vasilisa's magic was her intuition doll. And so she had to do some things like sweep the house, make a ton of food because Baba Yaga eats a bunch. But then there were these really hard tasks, like separate 1 million poppy seeds from this huge pile of dirt, or separate the moldy corn from the good corn. And so the intuition doll helped the whole way. She did all the tasks, and Baba Yaga finally says, begrudgingly, but still, she was like, oh, I'm kind of proud of you, kid. Here's your fire. So she gives her one of the fence posts that has a skull, fire coming out of each hole, and Vasilisa carries it through the forest in front of her, and she's so afraid of that skull, which represents the full force of our wild woman spirit, she almost threw it away, but the skull said, don't throw me away, keep me, you'll see why. And they get back to the house with the evil stepmother and stepdaughters, and the skull can see the evil intentions, and it burns up the stepmother and stepsisters, and that's the end of the story. So it's a scary, not very happy story, but the whole thing centers around 3 things that we're going to talk about today to get your wild woman spirit to evolve and to come into full bloom.
So what are the 3 things that you take away from there? Because I'm thinking about the 3 things, and one of the things I know about fire is that fire transmutes energy.
Yes.
Number 1.
Yes.
There's something purifying about fire in a lot of ways. I mean, certainly we don't have a very positive view of it, especially if we think of forest fires. But then again, what happens once the forest fire happens? We have history and notes of how things flourish, how things grow.
Right.
How you can't kill nature, so to speak, in that way. Right. But in the end, aren't we all asked to have due diligence of the tasks in order to realize our dreams? I mean, aren't we essentially counting our own poppy seeds in some way as we get up in the day to stay focused on where we are and where we want to go? At some level, I'm thinking. What do you think?
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I love about this story. It's not a pretty story. There's some ugly parts to it. And Baba Yaga is, this fearsome witch that you would see her on the street and probably be afraid. And so that's the journey of finding your wild woman spirit. It is a risk to become her because people may look at you and say, oh my gosh, what are you doing? So for us, that first lesson of allowing the too good mother to die, that doesn't mean literally that, we need to wait for our physical mother to die to be able to fully come into our intuition and wild woman spirit. But it's that idea of the people in our lives. Maybe it is a parent, a teacher, a coworker, a friend, a spouse who says, you can't do that. Oh, you're going to fail if you do that. If we cave to that pressure, that's not allowing our too good mother to die, stepping out of the box and stepping into our intuition and allowing our wild woman to evolve. So that's what it means for us. And I also read Doreen Virtue's book, Courage to be Creative, and it's all about allowing your creativity to blossom. And that really fits with this wild woman story, because the wild woman is that creative awakening. And Doreen gives some really great categories of why people may say, oh, you can't do that. You need to stay, quote unquote, safe. And one of them is that, you know, they're kind of giving you misguided protection and trying to keep you, quote unquote, safe. And I'm working on my second book where I interviewed 14 other artists, and I was working on a chapter last week. And one of them, she said in her late 20s, she was working at Microsoft, great job, you know, this huge corporation, and she discovered the joy of plastering walls. And she wanted to totally quit her job and open her own plastering business, which eventually turned into glass and plaster molding into these beautiful creations. And she said all of her family, her mother-in-law, her husband, her parents, they said, you can't quit that. You know, this should be a hobby on the side. And she said they couldn't see my vision. You know, they wanted to see me as they thought I should be. And so sometimes it can be that misguided, quote unquote, protection, but it's not allowing us to grow like we should. And I thought that's so amazing that you could step back and see that, oh, you just can't see who I'm supposed to be. Okay, I'm just going to quietly do my own thing. And I thought that was so mature.
Yeah. Yeah. But I love that how the outer world sometimes can call us to experience and explore, that parts of us that were no longer willing to be subtly, quietly walking in the night. You know,
Right.
People ask me time and time again, let's talk about this when we come back, you know, what is it about our intuition that allows us to fully be who we were meant to be?
Yes.
Is it all mind over matter? Is it matter forcing mind? You know, do we succeed? Do we rise up in the face of antagonist? And my mom would say, I posted something on Facebook that my mom said to us once. I love my mother, you know, my stepmom. I had two moms. I'm really grateful I had two moms. And what I learned from this wild woman, as you might say, is never give up.
Right.
Never give up and never give in. And what she meant by that is never trade who you truly are for another person's whim. Let's take a break.
Yes.
When we come back, following your intuition will help you connect the dots faster than any class you can take, any degree you can acquire, and most importantly, any other outside influence you have it within. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let me know, let me know. Let me know, let me know.
To see your life from an angel's perspective, book a personal consultation with Claire Candy Huff, angelic walk-in angel Ariel at Angel Healing House. Candy provides intuitive counseling, Reiki, and angel readings in person in Los Angeles or nationally and internationally via phone or Skype. She will channel the practical tools you need to transform your life. Call now 831-277-3716 or visit angelhealinghouse.com.
Live your magnificence, for the love of joy is a precious gift offered to us by Robert Schoenfeld, host of the Art of Powerful Living Radio. He takes us on an incredible 30-day adventure to expand our minds and hearts with the nectar of life, love, and joy. This book will help you bring more joy, love, health, abundance, adventure, romance, and magnificence into your life.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.
Are you traveling most of your day? Do you want to take Transformation Talk Radio with you anywhere you go? Well, guess what? There's an app for that. Just go to the App Store on your Apple device or the Google Play Store on your Android and search Transformation Talk Radio. Catch all of our live shows no matter where you are. Thanks for listening.
Discover the healing medicine from the giant monkey tree frog Cambo. Cambo practitioner Ginny Rutherford and professional psychic Todd Rolson have come together for lively discussions of alternative healing medicines from the Amazon. Ginny and Todd bring you Cambo Talk Radio. Tune in each Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific to hear from guests all over the world with real life stories and the medicinal benefits of Cambo. For more information, visit cambokiss.com.
When I feel what I feel, sometimes it's hard to tell you so. You may not be.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. You know, Wild Thing. Benny, you got to pull up that song, that Wild Thing. You make my. What's that song, Benny?
Yeah,
What's
Wild
it
Thing. The
called?
Trogs, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
I got it.
You
I'll look
make my heart sing. Okay, no, I'm not going to sing. Vicki, it's okay. I'm not going to sing.
Well, I'm not going to sing either.
Oh, my gosh. Unstuck Joy. And listen, we're talking about bringing out that wild spirit, bringing out that wild woman, following our intuition. And, you know, we were just talking about, you know, you asked the question, what is your wild woman spirit?
Yeah.
And I was sharing something with you that, you know, the network is, for the most part, apolitical, and we're value oriented. And, you know, I'm being called upon as a network owner who is supporting the LGBT community, have been for years. We actually, by the way, we actually have radio.lgbtq, which is a network we're launching in our channels. So I find myself doing this show with you and following my intuition, because this is the next thing.
Yes.
So
important.
What does this network believe in? What do I, as the owner, believe in? And what am I willing to say and go to bat for as the owner of this network? And what I love about this is, what is it about becoming a wild woman and being a wild woman that allows us to be who we are? But there may be some people, Vicki, that, you know, maybe some people in your life that are watching you on Facebook and thinking, what is she doing? So can you help us with this today?
Yes. Well, that's an excellent point, because part of the Vasilisa story, you know, she was forced to go find the fire. And that was a life-altering event for her, because she came back changed. And so, like what you're saying, Pat, that, you know, you've come to this crossroads, basically, of I'm not usually, you know, very political, but I'm being, you know, called forth to do that. So there is always some sort of life event that brings us to a crossroads, no matter what age in life, and we may have more than one, that kind of restarts that intuition process. And we have the choice, am I going to take a risk and move off in this direction that seems uncomfortable, and maybe people are not supporting me? Maybe people are trying to tear me down because, you know, they want me to stay where I am. Or am I going to follow my true self, that wild woman self, and start to blossom even though I can't see the path, which is absolutely scary. But that's where the intuition comes in, is being able to get to know the intuition. And so it sounds kind of crazy, you know, Vasilisa feeding the little doll bread, because I thought, why is she feeding that doll bread? But she was feeding her intuition. And so for us, what that means is we have to listen to it. You know, we have to try out what it says, because you can't ignore your intuition and then come to this crossroads moment and then say, oh my gosh, I need to know what to do. Intuition, please tell me, because maybe you can't really discern, you know, if you haven't really practiced that or really gotten to know it. So that's the process, is you have to, it's like working a muscle. You know, it's like going to the gym and getting stronger. You have to strengthen your ability to discern that intuition, because your ego voice, the outside voices, and that intuition voice are all different, and they're all, you know, trying to get your attention. So intuition.
So let's talk about intuition. What does it mean to you? Define it. And the question is that if people are watching on Facebook, which I've got on my phone here too, is they're watching what you're doing, and how much of your life that has gotten you here today doing what you're doing, how much of that has been intuition?
Everything. I cannot stress that enough. my two crossroads, I call them my two life flips. I knew that I probably should not have gotten into the marriage that I got into. And I absolutely knew that I was not meant to become a mother. But, I caved into the pressure of my mom because she wanted me to follow that traditional path that she had always done. And so knowing that I was in this relationship and I caved into taking fertility medication and everything and actually getting pregnant, I knew I wasn't in my full power. But when we don't realize our power is when we cave. And so I don't regret those experiences, though, because that helped me to learn what this intuition is and that I should have followed it. And never again am I going to not follow it no matter what anybody says. So the second time this rolled around with my second life flip, more than a decade later, I start meditating and, it comes down that, you need to quit your really stable 12-year professor position to just take off. I knew that voice and I knew what that meant. And I knew that even though it's scary and people were saying, what are you doing? You can't do that. I knew that I had to do it or my soul would shrivel within. So that was all being able to listen to my intuition. And to me, it's that small voice. And when sometimes, you have to learn your cycle. You have to learn how you perceive these messages. And so for me, when I'm meditating or maybe I have my eyes closed, I will actually see a word. And so maybe I see the word go or trust or regret, if I'm saying, what if I don't take this step? And so for other people, they may have a dream, that they can interpret and a really vivid dream that they remember. It may be that, you see colors, how do you hear your intuition, Pat? How does it speak to you?
Listen, I'll tell you how it speaks to me. It used to be I would see things. Right? I would see things, not so much hear things. And what I mean by that, I get these visions. So can you imagine being a child in school and early on being accused of daydreaming, being on another planet? But little did they know I was literally getting messages about stuff, right? I mean, think about it. What kid is in a psychiatrist's office at age 7, right?
Right.
Telling the psychiatrist that what Elvis is talking to you. I don't know. But for me, it was that, and part of my issue was that when you're talking to higher authorities, whether it's Jesus, depending upon what religion you're in, Jesus, God, etc., there are some religions that really believed, at the time that I was young, that you don't have the right to speak to that higher power, right?
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So, of course, if you don't have the right to speak to them, but you insist that you're sitting in church and you're looking at a Station of the Cross and the man that's carrying the cross is talking to you, you go to Dr. Jacoby. That's where you got to go. Yeah.
That makes me sad because, I grew up that, Jesus is your friend. And so I equate this with, my intuition, and that's gotten me through everything.
Well, ask me if Dr. So let me talk about Dr. Jacoby. Who knew I was going to talk about this? I didn't see Dr. Jacoby very many times because I think Dr. Jacoby's job was to make sure that I wasn't schizophrenic, right?
Wow.
Because, if you're hearing voice. And so here's the good news. The good news is I only saw him twice. I didn't get medication. So what that means for me is that my stepmom, who I just talked about, my dad, did not have the same opinion. Thank goodness for my stepmom, because I got to dream, imagine, whatever that was, right, all my life. Now I know what it is. I mean, there's a reason that your friends want to take you to the racetrack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But how do we use this in day-to-day life?
Yeah. Well, that's what I like about this story and all the symbolism in it, because it says that if you get into that routine life where you're just on the hamster wheel, you're doing the same thing every day, that mutes your intuition. And that's why they had the Baba Yaga house up on the giant chicken legs dancing around, because she's weird. That's that wild woman spirit, just being wild and in joy and doing something different than everybody else is doing, because your wild woman is unique. Everybody's going to be different, right? And so that's the point of the story. And even though Baba Yaga seems so unpredictable and scary and wild, she does pay attention to cycles, because it talks about, the sun coming up, the sun going down, sweep the floor, make the food, you have to nourish. And so that's the thing of sweeping the floor, clearing a space to hear your intuition, whatever that means to you, whether it's meditation, yoga, dance, however you can get in the space to see these visions that you see. You need to be able to discern that individually. And also, again, the food, feeding, nourishing the intuition, getting used to it, and just learning, when do I need to be creative? When do I need to rest? When do I need to be in solitude? When is it time to work? All of that is going to help you find that wild woman spirit. And all of that is listening to the intuition. Because I know I get very type A, and I know myself, if I'm like, Vicki, are you doing the to-do list and just check, or are you listening? No, I'm just doing the to-do list. And it's hard, but I know I need to step back and say, okay, I let go.
Yeah. Here's the way it shows up in life, right? I mean, I don't want to be sounding like redundant with the story of how I'm even here. How the heck does a girl from the Bronx, right, living on 152nd Street over there, right? Mom committed suicide at when I was 6. How does somebody like me get to own all positive radio network, be surrounded by the most incredible people who are, by the way, running the show right now, and have a dream to launch 10 channels? And yes, by the way, one of them is an LGBTQ channel. Hello, yeah, that's us. Well, how do we do that?
I saw you how you did that. Yes, what? you listened to your intuition, and you didn't listen to, was it Dr. Jacoby?
Dr. Jacoby.
Forget him, right? Because if you had paid attention to him and said, oh, this is wrong, I shouldn't be having these visions, you wouldn't be where you are today. And so good for you for being able, even as a young person, to say, no, this is important. I don't know what it means. I know it's kind of odd. Not everybody else is doing this, but this is important. And look where it's gotten you. And you're helping so many people.
I want to know from everybody listening, we would love to hear your wild woman story.
Yes.
Come on the show, Facebook Live. I don't even know how to do this. Jessica, Emery, and Alex are going to have to help us with the Facebook Live. But if you're listening to this or you're watching Facebook Live, here is the invitation. What is your wild woman side? What is that part of you that just wants to jump out and say, man, I want to be a fighter jet pilot. Where is that wild woman? Are you going to let it rip up? Just come on, because today is the day of your freedom with this. As women, Vicki, a large part of the time we are taught to be calm, to be patient. Don't walk on the wild side, unless it's under the thumb of somebody else's direction. But right. I'm telling you that is not the generation. That is not what we're looking at. That is not what has gotten thousands of women across the country to be out there right now saying, please, please support us. Why? Why are we doing it? Stay tuned. We'll tell you why when we come back. We'll be right back.
Have you wanted to be intuitive or psychic but thought those gifts were only for certain people? Hi, my name is Deb Acker, and in addition to being the host of Truth Talk Radio, I'm an intuitive life coach and energy healer. I clear energy blocks to all areas of life, including intuition. Did you know that we're all intuitive, but many times we receive certain messages in our childhood that block us from being able to tune into our intuition at all times? What if you could clear these blocks to access your gifts and always know the truth in any given moment? Don't think it's possible? I was there not long ago. I thought only others had these gifts and you were either born with it or you weren't. I now know we're all intuitive and you can clear the blocks that stop you from being able to access your intuition on all levels. On the other side, I now help others to become intuitive, even psychic. And if this resonates for you and you're ready to own your intuitive powers, I'd love to gift you with my pattern identification session. Simply contact me on the contact page of my website, DeborahAcker.com. That's DeborahAcker.com. And let me know you heard about this gift through Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to connecting soon.
Gifted intuitive healer and spiritual teacher Sarah Luce brings her unique style to the hit show Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in each month as Sarah turns reality on end and shows us how to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. For show details and upcoming topics, visit sarahloos.com. That's SARALOOS.com.
Hi there. My name is Audrey Michelle, host of Rewired Life Radio and a spiritual growth coach. I talk about this all the time on my show, listening to your body and acting on intuition. What do these things even mean? Here's the thing. About 10 years ago, I figured out I was doing it all wrong. I mean, I wasn't unhappy, but was I really happy? And then life sent me a spiritual smackdown, like it does, because I wasn't listening to my best resource, my body and my intuition. I was living from a place of fear. I was stressed and I was in pain, and I seemed to be happily unhappy. Mostly I just didn't know what I didn't know. And what I didn't know was that my body and my intuition had all the tools I needed to live life as my best self. I'm sharing the tools I have learned over the last 10 years of my healing journey in my online class, Soul Awakening, beginning September 19th. Learn more. Go to audreymichelle.com/awaken. That's Audrey Michelle, spelled MICHEL.com/awaken.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Wild thing, I think I love you, but I want to know for sure.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Yeah, Unstuck Joy, Vicki-Todd joining me here today. We're talking about wow women. Each of us has that in us. Vicki, before we kind of jump ahead, for folks maybe listening for the first time, can you let them know how they can find out more about this, about your work, what you've created, and how they can explore their own inner selves with you?
Yes. Okay, so my website is vickiworldart.com, and on the menu I have an art visioning link, and if you look under that, it says Art Vision Prompts. And so I have a prompt for each episode of Unstuck Joy, and this show's prompt is Let Your Wild Woman Spirit Howl. So you can get all the instructions of how to do your Wild Woman collage and also your inner critic that we'll talk about here in a minute. And so I have a contact me link with my email address, and I want to mention I have a new event coming up on Saturday, August the 19th from 1 to 4. I will be in Duval, Washington at Studio Beiju doing Art Vision Your Way to Unstuck. And so it's going to be a little book signing, and I'll talk about my 2 life flips. Part of the cost of the event is $30, and that includes a signed copy of Unstuck. And then we're going to do at least 2 art vision prompts, maybe 3 if we have time, and if not 3, then I'll give it to everybody to take home. So it's going to be really fun. Studio Beiju, go to studiobeiju.com or email me on the contact link, and I'll give you more information. August 19th, 1 to 4.
I love it. This is part of you saying yes, following your intuition and doing things. For you out there, I would love for you all to give us a shout if you want to share. What does your wild woman look like? Yeah. How does she step out? 1-800-930-2819 or post it on Facebook. We just are providing a very special post about this. Or call 1-800-930-2819. Yeah, we want to know what that is. I've had different wild women along the way. So talk about this idea of this wild woman spirit preceding you.
Yes. Okay, so the part of the story where Vasilisa had passed all of her tasks and Baba Yaga begrudgingly said, okay, you can have the fire. And she gives her a fence post with the skull, and there's fire coming out of the eyes, the ears, the mouth. So Vasilisa is going back through the forest, back to her home where the evil stepmother and stepsisters are, afraid to death of this skull. But what that skull represents, that is our full power of knowing, stepping into who that wild woman spirit is. And the wild woman is our true self. That's your self that's totally connected with your higher power. And so Vasilisa wanted to throw the skull away because it was too powerful. And the skull said, no, keep me. But I think sometimes we're not afraid to fail as much as we're afraid to succeed. And that power of who we could be, the power of our potential, that does really scare us sometimes. And I remember that Marianne Williamson quote that says, who are you to be gorgeous, talented, all these things? Who are you not to be? You're a child of God. You're meant to shine. And by fully shining, you give others permission to shine as well. And I know that sometimes in the past, I've thought, oh my God, are you really going to do this? Because if you do, this, your dream is going to come at you. And that's kind of scary. And so that power is really important.
Well, it is really important. And, women are afraid to say the word power. Yeah. And the word power has very, very deep roots, that has to do with our ability to influence, right?
Right. And so have the voice.
The voice. That's right. Whether you're talking to a 9-year-old and really helping a 9-year-old come off the cliff, I'm not worthy enough, I don't look good enough, I don't fit in that size, whatever jeans, whatever that is, or troubled by the fact that, what's going on in the world. And by the way, I just want to be really clear about 9-year-olds of this generation. Smart beyond their years, wise beyond their years. These are the future leaders that are like, we totally get it and we don't understand it. So let's please not underestimate our children, right?
Absolutely. And don't feel bad. If you're like me, I didn't know what my purpose was in life until the age of 47. And so when you don't realize your power and you don't know, that purpose, you are just wondering, kind of lost, through life. And I remember thinking, I really like art and travel. How can I make that into my job? I had no concept. If I would have known that I would be doing today what I'm doing, I would have thought, you're crazy. So another thing with that wild woman spirit and knowing the power, we mentioned in the last segment, getting to know your intuition. That's the message of separating a million poppy seeds. I mean, think how small those are from this pile of dirt. That's getting keenly aware, being able to keenly discern the negative voices, either coming from the outside, maybe your parents, your teacher, your spouse, coworkers, whoever, saying, oh, you can't do that, but also the inner critic in yourself. Because just because you have a thought doesn't mean that you are that thought. And so is it your true self, your wild woman speaking to you, or is it your ego that's trying to keep you safe and protect you? So that's the point of that story, is being able to keenly discern things. And maybe it's sometimes when you are having a conversation with somebody and they're smiling, but you can tell the smile's not really into their eyes and they're not really on your side.
Yeah.
That's more of that. And so that's when the fiery skull could see the negativity of the stepmother and steps and just burned them up. And so that's the point, is you have to make decisions that sometimes are hard. Get rid of toxic people, change a job, move, get a divorce.
Yeah, but let's talk about that, because all of the above, get rid of toxic situations. And I've had more people say to me than not, Vicki, wow, I can't leave that job. So what's your plan B? Your plan B is to get some tools that allow you not to be sucked in by toxicity. What are the tools? Some people find that rising up above that. Some people find doing things outside of their workday. I have a friend that goes down to Seattle every week to feed the homeless.
Wow.
There are some things we can do outside of the realm of what we're experiencing.
Yes.
But we do have choice points to make. We
Yes.
do have things we could do, but we are
Right.
afraid. We are afraid to make those decisions sometimes, Vicki. We really are.
Right. Well, I've had the experience of learning to set boundaries around certain people that are the naysayers, that I cannot listen to their negative stuff or else I can't move on. I cannot dwell on that. And so I've learned to set boundaries, but then that brings guilt that, I'm not being who they want me to be. But you kind of have to work through that. And I saw a post on Instagram by Doreen Virtue yesterday, because she'll, draw a card. And it said, you can love people from afar, but you don't have to get in the ring with them. And I thought, isn't that the truth?
Yeah,
and that's
it is.
hard because sometimes we live with those people, or sometimes they're a relative or whatever. But there are ways, like you said, to figure out ways to feed my soul and not just be in the ring and fighting and, struggling all the time. So you have to work it out for you, and find a life coach, find somebody that can help you through that, because it's not easy.
Yeah, and I referenced my mom here, and my mom was great at that. That her interpretation of Doreen's card yesterday would be this. What she would say is, the metaphor, you don't have to get in the ring with them, means you don't this be my mom. She would say to us, you do not have to stoop to the lowest level.
Yes.
You don't need to find a common denominator.
Right.
She said, that is not the mission. She would say to us, we are called to rise up.
Yes.
And she would go on about it. And she lived her life that way. When Hurricane Andrew hit Florida, and I said to her, Mom, you got to get out of there. She was in real estate at the time, and they were building condos. And then Andrew came in and flattened southern Florida.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, come on, I'll pack you up. She looked at me and she said this, Vicki. She said, I always wondered what God put me on this earth to do.
Ooh.
And I'm thinking, where are we going, Mom? She said, I never understood why I would study, go to school, get my broker's license for real estate. She said, I never understood it. She said, but I now know. She said, my purpose is to stay right here and to help people rebuild their homes.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful.
I don't know if anybody
wonderful.
listening to this show remembers what Andrew did to Southern Miami. I don't know that people quite remember. Flattened everything. And my mom was going to stay there and help people rebuild their condominiums.
Yes.
See, that's the influence. That's a wild woman of a different nature, because we have this sense of being a wild woman means that we're pretty much going to be like crazy on the streets.
No.
That works. That does work. But we can be wild woman powerfully in the authenticity of who we are. Let's take a break. When we come back, you're going to help us create that wild woman spirit.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Find table spaces, say it's social graces, bow your head. Their pie is here, but you and I, we're pioneers. We make our own rules, our own room, no bias here. Let them sell what they are selling there, no bias here. So gather all the rebels now.
Known for his keen sense of humor, contagious smile, and extensive esoteric wisdom, EJ translates deep spiritual wisdom into practical advice to empower you to live your happiest, most fulfilled experience. Mystic Living Radio, Deep Spiritual Wisdom, Practical Advice with EJ, Eliyahu Jian. This hit show delivers profound experiences for all who want to live life to their deepest desires. Tune in monthly for Mystic Living Radio. Learn more by visiting vitaltransformation.org.
Tune in to Mainstream Metaphysics Radio to harness your connection with the universe to effect change for optimal success and happiness. Named one of the country's top psychics, Eve now brings her insights and gifts to this weekly hit call-in show, joined by visionaries, leaders, and gifted others, but mostly you. Jot it down, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Are you stuck in unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, and low self-esteem? Do you crave a life of inspiration, love, self-acceptance, and fun? Sounds like you're on the verge to your next big thing. Join Laura Richer, host of On the Verge Radio, helping you use your breakdown for a breakthrough, overcome life's greatest challenges, and live the life you want and deserve. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio or visit SeattleHealingHypnosis.com for more information.
This episode is brought to you in part by Moon Recording. Moon Recording is our proud home here at Life Untethered and is located in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. If you have any recording needs, you should definitely check them out. They offer affordable recording services to musicians and podcasters, and their friendly staff specializes in recording everything from full bands to vocals in their vocal production suite. For 1 hour free, visit moon.nyc and enter code UNTETHERED when booking your first session.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Interested in deepening your spiritual practice? The School for Esoteric Studies offers online training to spiritual seekers from all paths of life and individual coaching. Our courses synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions based on meditation, study, and service applied to everyday life. To learn more about our courses and services, please visit www.esotericstudies.net.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Unstuck Joy, Vicki Todd joining me here today. Vicki, before we talk about how to create our own wild woman spirit and inner critic, art vision journal prompts, all of the above, please tell us again how to find out more about you, how to get a copy of your book, and also how to work with you.
Okay, my website is the best place to go. So it's vickiworldart.com. I have a contact me link with my email. So any questions you have, go there. For the prompts that we're doing with the show, there's an art visioning link, and underneath there is art vision prompts. And so you can see all the prompts for all the episodes with instructions of how to do it. If you want to meet me in person, if you are in the Washington State area, I have a workshop coming up Saturday, August the 19th from 1 to 4. That is at Studio Beju. It's studiobeju.com. And also I have my monthly every second Saturday at Spa Air in Kirkland, Washington from 3 to 5 that we do one art vision prompt of that afternoon. So it's going to be fun. I hope to see you there.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about this idea of allowing, enabling, whatever the language is, getting our wild woman fired up.
Yeah. Well, one thing I really like that Doreen Virtue said, because some of these experiences of setting boundaries around toxic people, or knowing that, maybe we need to get a divorce, or maybe we need to quit a job or relocate, those are really hard decisions. And, that can cause some hurtful feelings. And so she said that this creativity can kind of be a morphing process, that if you put your art into those feelings that you're having, whether it's your painting, writing, poetry, dance, like you said, your friend goes to feed the homeless every, Saturday or whenever, anything like that, that's getting those emotions out that may be kind of tough and hard and painful, but you're turning that into something beautiful. And that's your authentic self coming out in those acts or in that art. And that can help others because they can relate to your story, even though it may not be exactly the same. And so one of the memoir portraits I posted for this show is Belly of the Whale, and I have it on this page, this Art Vision page. And so that was my expression of knowing that I needed to quit my 12-year, professor position and just being scared to death, because that's that point of the hero's journey when you know you need to die to the old and evolve as the new, but you don't know what that means yet. And so she has all these flowers, like she's crying out flowers, and she's scared. You can see it in her eyes, and it's painful, but this beauty is coming out of her. So even though you have these experiences, like your mom, or stepmom, she had the realtor's license, and I have this for a reason. Everything in your life is there for a reason, to teach you something and to enable you to move to that step of being your wild woman. Nothing is wasted.
Why do you think, Vicki, we go through periods of quieting our wild woman? What do you think happens?
I think, at least in my experience, and like Women with the Wolves, it says when we don't know our power, that's when we cave. And I know in my experience, those outside voices of people who are saying, you can't do that. Who do you think you are to do that? Oh, you're going to fail if you do that. That mirrored my own fear. And so I didn't know my own power. And that's when I caved. And I think that's when people keep it muted is, okay, what are others going to think? you are going to make people step back and say, what are you doing? Because like Baba Yaga is kind of wild and crazy and dancing around on chicken legs. It's not going to look like the norm to be your wild woman, but that's okay. Once you transform through that, you can have so much joy. You can help others. You can serve the world with the gifts that you are given. That's going to be beyond any normal routine thing that you were in before in the past.
You know, one of the things you talk about is removing the veil. It's such an interesting expression, I think, removing the veil. I've always wanted to know, where the heck did the veil come from?
I don't know.
Isn't that an interesting question?
Yeah. And I don't know where I heard that, but they said, getting to your true self is like removing 1,000 veils.
Exactly.
And it's like the onion, peeling layer by layer. But I do think, and it mentions this in the Baba Yaga story, if we're given too much information at once, it's overwhelming. So you have to have that one veil at a time, one lesson at a time, one life experience at a time, and able to strengthen yourself and teach yourself the next step. And so I think that one veil, that's what that means, is it's not just, we're going to keep you hidden, but if you were given everything at once, there would be so much power. You'd probably just say, I'm going to stay in my hole. I'm going to stay small. So I think that's for a purpose.
But isn't this too then a spiritual process?
Absolutely.
See, I really believe that my aha moment in life right now is the degree by which I allow my wild woman to surface is directly proportionate to how strong my spiritual practice is.
Yes, absolutely. And I went to a shaman retreat last August, and she had mentioned something like that, when we hear the word surrender, we think weakness. But she said when that warrior surrenders down on one knee, arms full out, and just saying, okay, I'm allowing the universe to give me more strength. You're surrendering to that higher power that will make you even stronger. That's the most powerful thing that you can do. And so like you said, really attuning to that higher power, whatever that means to you, that's strengthening you. That's not weak to say help.
It's not weak to say help. Well, today we talked about a number of different things, but the point is this, if there is a wild woman, which we know there is inside of us, this is really the time to give her permission to shine. That's what your message is today, isn't it?
Yes. So let me show you what I did today. This looks kind of crazy.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I picked out, before the show, I went through magazines and picked out images that meant something intuitively to me with this concept of wild woman. So I have a couple of older kind of elders here. And maybe they're not the most gorgeous ladies, but I like that because they look very wise. This one is laughing because she knows life is supposed to be joyful. I've got this little girl. She has on her little pink hat. She also has a ladybug in her hand, which, to me, the ladybug, that's my symbol of my grandmother and tapping into my own intuition. I've got a girl that has her backpack on. She's on the road. She's doing the travel. The flowers coming out of this lady's head. I've got a lot of eyes, and I put an eye in the mouth space because if you're really tuned in to who you are and you can see through your wild woman spirit self, that will allow you to speak wisdom.
Wow.
And so this is one of the art prompts, is to either collage it or doodle it, do it together, but pick out images that represent your creative awakening, that intuitive knowing, your inner 8-year-old that knows your gifts, knows the joy, your future elder warrioress that is urging you to do these things before your last day or else you'll regret it. All of that is your wild woman spirit. So by making a collage or doodle, it's a reminder that, I am supposed to be the traveler on this journey. I'm supposed to keep going and evolving. And so that is my wild woman for today.
I love it. Thank you so much for the show, Vicki. Hey, take a minute one more time. How can people find out more about you? How can they find out about the workshop you're doing?
Okay, VickiWorldArt.com is my website. If you go to the contact me, there's my email that you can ask questions about the workshops. And so Studio Beiju is on Saturday, August 19th from 1 to 4. It's in Duvall, Washington. Art Vision Your Way to Unstuck Joy. It includes a signed copy of my visual memoir, Unstuck. And I have the second Saturday at Spa Air in Kirkland, Washington from 3 to 5. And we do art vision prompts each time.
You've been listening to Unstuck Joy, the art of living on purpose with Vicki Todd. This hit show is where your higher purpose is revealed and cultivated. Now you too can share your unique light and special gifts with the world. Vicki's dedication to raising your life's purpose to something extraordinary is unending. So don't miss out on your opportunity. Catch Unstuck Joy monthly with Vicki Todd and Dr. Pat Basile. For more information about Vicki and her work, go to VickiWorldArt.com. That's VICKI worldart.com.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.